Now, the long-awaited drop marketing for our version 2.3 characters has finally dropped, and to little surprise, Zani has been confirmed to be dropping within the first phase, whilst Ciaccona will be dropping within the second phase. As mentioned in my previous video, Zani will in fact be releasing a lot sooner than usual in order to align with the first WutheringWaves anniversary update, which does mean we can expect potential new abilities, mechanics, and other great stuff that will stand out from these characters. So especially since we do also have the confirmed attributes and weapon types for both characters, I'll be looking to distinguish who exactly may hold more value overall for players to prioritize. Now, there is the rumor that Ciaccona is possibly free to celebrate the anniversary, which would be absolutely amazing if she is, but just in case she isn't, I'll be going over both Zani and Ciaccona's kid standouts / speculations, the sort of team versatility each character will hold, then I'll be wrapping it up with their overall value and who would benefit your account in particular the most. As always, would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content, and just before we jump right into it, a quick word from our sponsor. LD Shop is a safe and reliable game top-up platform that allows you to pick up in-game currency within numerous games for a discounted price, such as WutheringWaves, which can provide up to 18% off on selected items. So if you are thinking about picking up some Lunite or even just renewing your Lunite subscription, then you may as well pick it up from LD Shop and save some money. First, you will need your game account to be linked to your email address if it's not already, which can be done through the account center, and once that's done, head to the website and all you do is click on top up, then your preferred payment method, fill out your game account details, and in a couple of minutes it will hit your account. Also, the double top up bonus will be provided even when going through LD Shop, so you aren't missing out, and as of now, new users are eligible for a 10% off coupon, and if you do go through my referral link, an additional 5% off coupon that can save you up to a max of $50. Lastly, it's worth mentioning for those that do spend over $80 will gain a VIP membership that provides a free 30-day Lunite subscription. So again, if you're looking for a quick and safe way to pick up discounted game currency, be sure to check out LD Shop through the link in the description. Now, kicking it off with the most highly anticipated character since the reveal of Rinascita, Zani will be dropping as the first character in 2.3 and has been confirmed to be a Spectral Gauntlet character. As for her role in specific, considering Phoebe is the most recent Spectral character to release, and even though she is currently utilized as a main DPS, she does have the ability to play as a sub DPS within her confession state. So with that in mind, Zani is most likely going to be our new Spectral main DPS and will be contending with our current Spectral main DPS queen Jinchi, which can only mean Zani is going to be an incredible damage dealer just like Jinchi, or perhaps even better. Now, a bit similar to Jinchi, Zani will in fact have multiple forms as we can see within her splash art. But unlike Jinchi, still utilizing the same weapon and not having that much of a change in appearance, Zani seems to have a drastic change in appearance as her clothes are ripped up and looks to be using a great sword instead of a shield. So aside from how amazing the secondary form looks, it's fair to assume that it will be Zani's burst state, which will likely be accessed either through filling the Forte or Deliberation and will lead to Zani dealing immense levels of damage. As for how exactly Zani will be capable of dealing high amounts of DPS, it does link back to the fact that Phoebe can be utilized as a sub DPS whilst in a confession state. Now of course this isn't confirmed, but as it has also been rumored for a while that Zani and Phoebe may have potential to synergize together, Zani will then likely be able to deal damage scaling off the amount of Spectral Frazzle that has been inflicted onto enemies. So with that, Phoebe being able to inflict tons of Spectral Frazzle within a confession state will then allow Zani to deal significant damage, allowing these two to be an incredibly synergistic duo revolving around Spectral Frazzle. We've known for a while now that the meta will be steering towards debuffs and dots since they were announced back in 2.0, so it almost seems certain that Zani will be the first to showcase their true potential, specifically by being the first true main DPS to deal damage scaling off the amount of Spectral Frazzle inflicted. Now with all of that being said, similar to Phoebe, Zani's team versatility likely won't be the greatest, considering her DPS revolves around Spectral Frazzle and there aren't many characters that can inflict Spectral Frazzle. Of course later on when Zani's kit has been fully revealed, she could be capable of dealing another specific damage type alongside damage scaling off Spectral Frazzle, which would make her a lot more flexible, but until that is confirmed, Zani's best team composition will consist of herself as the main DPS, Phoebe as the sub DPS, and Spectral Rover as the support. As mentioned, Phoebe's confession state inflicting multiple stacks of Spectral Frazzle should be extremely valuable for Zani's DPS. Paired with the outro skill shredding Spectral resistance for the next Resonator and extending the duration of Spectral Frazzle inflicted on enemies, Phoebe will be an incredible partner for Zani and so likely will be making a return alongside Zani's banner in 2.3. So for anyone that did skip Phoebe on her initial release and would want to ensure that Zani deals the most damage possible, you will have the chance to pick both of them up together very soon. Then as for Spectral Rover, not much really needs to be said since we do already know that they are a great healer, are capable of inflicting quite a lot of Spectral Frazzle themselves and even have the ability to extend the duration of Spectral Frazzle. So with both Spectral Rover and Phoebe being on the team, the Spectral Frazzle stacks will have incredible uptime and shouldn't allow Zani to deal damage near max potential quite often. Now of course, just like with Phoebe currently, Spectral Rover likely will be a great candidate as a sub DPS for Zani if you don't have Phoebe or intend to skip her, given they again can inflict a lot of Spectral Frazzle themselves and so would be a solid free to play option. With that, the support can then either be Verena or the Shorekeeper if you are utilizing Rover within the sub DPS slot. So as for the Spectral Frazzle composition, there is a bit more flexibility than Phoebe since Zani will have two sub DPS characters to utilize. But outside of that specific composition, again we would have to wait to see exactly what specific type of damage Zani will deal in order to see who else she can synergize with. Though with the fact that Rover is a free character for Zani to utilize, it does ultimately allow the Spectral Frazzle composition to be quite easy to build for Zani. Moving on to arguably the better version of Venti, our goofy bard Ciaccona will be dropping within the second phase and has been confirmed to be an aero pistol character. Now aero attribute really wasn't a surprise given Ciaccona's design, and really neither was her being a pistol character, since as I have mentioned a few times there is a high chance that Ciaccona will be an aero sub DPS. The reason being is that we do know we are likely receiving Carlotta as our new aero main DPS within version 2.4. So it would make a lot of sense for Ciaccona to release just before and to be Carlottia's dedicated sub DPS. Additionally, we did receive a brand new aero set with the release of 2.3, and despite dropping alongside Aero Rover, the Gust of Welkin set isn't really made for them as it's tailored for an aero sub DPS and can inflict aero erosion. Given the 2-piece effect increases aero damage by 10%, and as for the 5-piece effect, inflicting aero erosion upon enemies increases aero damage for all resonators by 15%, along with an additional 15% for the resonator triggering this ability. So this set is most likely the dedicated set for Ciaccona, as she certainly will be able to inflict aero erosion unlike Aero Rover, which does pretty much make Ciaccona the aero erosion equivalent to Phoebe, given both are designed to inflict a lot of debuffs on enemies in order to amplify the damage of the main DPS. So with that being said, it's fair to assume Ciaccona will also be capable of dealing considerable damage alongside inflicting stacks of aero erosion. I won't stretch it as much to say that Ciaccona will also have two forms, but she should at least be capable of performing very similar to Phoebe, especially since pretty similar to Phoebe, Ciaccona is going to be releasing ahead of Carlotta and won't be able to play as a dedicated sub DPS until weeks later, which means she should be capable of dealing enough damage to get by till Carlotta releases later on. Now with Ciaccona's team versatility in particular, it's fair to assume just like Phoebe's initial team versatility, Ciaccona will feel a bit restricted and won't have that many compositions to synergize in. Although it does really depend on whether she can amplify aero damage bonus through her outro skill similar to other sub DPS characters, or will she have an outro tailored more towards aero erosion just like Phoebe's is tailored towards Spectral Frazzle. Of course, if Ciaccona can amplify aero damage bonus by 20%, then she would be able to synergize within a team consisting of Jiyan, herself, and Aero Rover. However, if she isn't able to amplify aero damage bonus, then Ciaccona would only synergize with characters that can amplify her own damage, which is yet to be determined, along with Carlotta as a dedicated sub DPS. So as for now, the best composition featuring Ciaccona would consist of herself alongside Carlotta and Aero Rover. Pretty much like Zani, I expect Carlotta to be capable of dealing damage scaling off error erosion stacks Ciaccona inflicts. Then factoring in the possible error resistance shred from Ciaccona and other damage amplifications within her kit alongside the Echo set, Carlotta and Ciaccona will likely synergize incredibly well, and especially considering Carlotta was at least a Sentinel Resonator, they definitely have potential to be the strongest duo within the game. Then of course with Rover as the support, they are capable of healing a considerable amount quite often, dealing solid damage for a support, and can provide an extremely valuable outro skill effect. Rover grants Aeolian Realm to all Resonators for 30 seconds, and upon hitting a target, you can increase the maximum stacks of Aero Erosion on the target by 3 stacks for 10 seconds. So this would allow for increased damage over time from Aero Erosion, and if Carlotta does deal damage scaling off Aero Erosion stacks, will then also enable her to deal even more damage. So the Aero Erosion team will be quite a powerful team for players to build, and will certainly be Ciaccona's best team. But it will also possibly be the only team Ciaccona can really thrive in. Of course there will be a few alternative compositions where she can be utilized, but they wouldn't allow Ciaccona to really be used to the best of her capabilities. So if she does end up being a free character to celebrate the anniversary, it would then be much better, as then we aren't stuck in trying to build a team after pulling for Ciaccona. Overall, Zani and Ciaccona are definitely going to be amazing characters that hold incredible value within their kits. Of course, also considering both characters are dropping within the anniversary version update, it would be the least to expect. Although with Zani, I definitely expect there to be much more depth to her kit, as she will have the transformation mechanic and will, as mentioned, be contending with Jinchi, which means she likely will be one of the strongest DPS characters in the game, alongside having a fun bursty playstyle. Now the general rule of thumb is that main DPS characters tend to not last as long as sub DPS characters, but WutheringWaves has been doing a pretty good job in keeping old characters relevant and still viable to clear endgame content. So with that, even though Zani is a main DPS and Ciaccona is a sub DPS, they both should then have great long-term value. Also, considering that they are both going to have kits revolving around debuffs, it just means there likely won't be much difference between the amount of longevity each character holds. So again, if Ciaccona isn't free, then who you may want to prioritize will as usual depend on your account and preference. If you already have Phoebe on your account, then of course Zani will benefit you the most, as you can then build a Spectral Frazzle composition quite easily. If you don't and don't want to pick up Phoebe, along with being a bit more interested in Carlotta dropping within the following version update, then Ciaccona would of course benefit your account more. Now with all of that being said, don't let the idea of having to pick up certain characters for other characters to work restrict you from picking up someone that you like, since there's always alternative compositions that I will go into more detail when official kits have released, and without a doubt, there will be more characters in the future that can open up many different synergistic compositions. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more WutheringWaves content, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also drop a comment down below on who are you looking forward to the most between Zani and Ciaccona. And yeah, hope to catch you guys later.